Nobody's unhelpable. If there's a way to get the loan done, I'm gonna find it. That is for sure.
We're back here to the Real Deal in Real Estate channel where we cut through the noise to bring you real actionable advice for your home buying journey. Okay? Today I'm sitting here with mortgage expert Crista Lowrie to discuss how rising rates are impacting buyers and all the great innovative programs that can help you save money and get into your dream home. So whether you're a first-time buyer or you're looking to upgrade, this episode is packed with valuable insights. You don't want to miss it. Check it out. Welcome back, Crista Lowrie, the number one, in my mind, lender. We've been working together for 20 years. A lot of our listeners know that already, and I do not recall ever in 20-some years that a loan did not go through, because you know what I love about you is you just don't take a loan. You tell people exactly the real deal, and that's why we're on the Real Deal Real Estate channel, and you're the real deal lender. So, yeah, I mean, it's 2025. Happy New Year. We're here, and it's like, oh my God, what's happening with this market? Happy New Year. And they're buyers, they're calling me like crazy, not sure what they should do. So on the lending side, it happens there first. People call you first because they have to get a loan in order to buy a house. So let's talk about what's happening in the lender arena as far as applications, because that's where it starts, right? Applications?
Yeah, it starts with applications. Typically, a lot of lenders are slow at this time of the year because the market is down. There's not a lot of inventory out there as yet. A lot of people took their houses off the market for the holidays. But in my mind, this is when we get going. I always say the spring market starts in January. As many people as we talk to in January, that's going to tell us how our year is going to be. So January 1, I get the word out there. I start emailing the clients, giving them my market update for the year, what I think is going to happen, if you should sell, if you should buy, if you need to get your credit in order, whatever the situation is, I send that out right away, the beginning of January. So it's January 14th. I've already had about 50 people apply.
50 people. Oh, geez.
50 people apply since I sent out the email like a week and a half ago. I started contacting the people. When you work with me, I never get rid of you. So if you need help,
This is true.
if you need help this year and you can't buy till next year, then come next year, I'm going to call you. So I spent 3 days calling about 100 people from last year that couldn't get approved. And about 80% of them did what I said. And now they're going to be able to buy in 2025, which is awesome. So,
That's fantastic.
yeah. So I'm really busy.
Yeah, so not only you are have built up a trusted network with other realtors, you actually keep in touch, because the realtors might not even keep in touch.
That you would
I
be
know a lot of
surprised.
realtors do not keep in touch, and they also get another realtor.
Let me tell you something. Of the 100 people I called, about 20 of them do not want to use the original realtor that referred them to me because they haven't heard from them all year. And I think that's sad. I mean, if you're going to spend money to get a client, to get a lead, whatever the situation is, referral based, and then you're just going to drop this person to the curb because they weren't ready to buy, what kind of realtor are you? So, you know, never have that problem with you. So we're lucky.
Yeah. So realtors, listen up. If you're a realtor out there and you've had a buyer who's been pre-approved with a lender, whether it's Krista or someone else, give them a call. I mean, the follow-up is, and they might not even be in the business. I mean, 20,000 realtors left last month, or was it 25,000 or something like that? So they're like dropping like flies because, you know, it's a value-based business. And you and I have a business because we have clients that introduce us to other clients because we have a business. We are real estate and lender consultants. You know,
We're their
mortgage
trusted
consultants.
advisors. We're trusted
Advisor for life.
For life.
For life. Yeah. So I think it's really important to have an experienced lender. I mean, a lot of buyers just walk through the door, they come to our open houses, and they're not even approved. I was like, what's that about? Not even approved for a mortgage. And that's the first step, right? So what's the real benefit for a buyer to have a trusted advisor? I know with you, you're honest, and people will call up, well, I'm going to go with a different lender because she told me I had to wait a year. I'm like, if Krista said you had to wait a year, then you have to wait a year. So talk a
Yeah,
little bit
what
about
people
that.
don't understand is that like we don't get paid if you don't buy a house. So it's in our best interest to help you buy a house. But the truth is, if you're not ready to be successful with a mortgage and a house, then it might be your time to wait. And I give honest advice to every single person, and sometimes they don't like the answer, and sometimes they'll go check around. And 9 times out of 10, they always end up back with me, and they're almost apologizing, like begging me to help them. And I said, of course I'm going to help you. Of course I'm going to help you. So,
Right.
yeah.
That's important. You mentioned a story before. Tell a story about that renter who you had to qualify their rental, or you had to make sure
Yeah.
they had the right, they were paying their rent.
This week I had a client who I had to verify if their rent had been paid on time. So I asked her for a rent ledger for the company that she rents from. And I've never seen this before, but at the top it said total amount of rent paid $184,000. So that means that this girl has paid $184,000, and I can't imagine that every month when she looks at that, she doesn't say, "Oh my God, I got to buy a house because I am paying off this landlord's mortgage.
Yeah.
My mortgage." So she is actively we're trying to get her a house right now.
Yeah. So I know with my buyers what's happening as far as getting home. I just had a listing. Well, I work mostly listings. And my last listing had 9 offers. So we're still getting multiple offers. Are your buyer agents getting multiple offers situations still?
They are. They still are. Yeah, it's still a seller's market.
Any advice to buyers out there that are in that kind of market, especially if they have to go FHA?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You qualify for what you qualify for. So the best that we can do is make sure that you have a rock solid pre-approval where I have looked at your documents, I've checked your credit, ran it through automated underwriting. All those things cost us money and we don't charge you, but I need to know that I can put my name on a letter and my reputation is good. So a lot of agents that will see a letter for me, they know that I'll get it done. And so that's
Right.
what you need, someone that's going to do that for you.
So money, money, money. And a lot of people have 20% down. They have money from their parents. They have cash, all these different things. But you don't hear, I mean, you and I talk about it all the time, the grants, and I tell every single one of my buyer agents to get these people with you with the grants. And we put so many people through your program, but no one's really talking about it. And you don't hear a lot of chatter anywhere about this money. It's like free money.
Yeah.
So you're the queen of the grants. I mean, you do so much of that for people, and I know it's a tougher loan for the lender. It's not like an easy as 20% down conventional. There's more work for you, but you're such an advocate of it. So there's some new grants out. I know that you can't talk about until February, but there's some ones you can talk about. So why don't you go through? Say start with maybe a first-time home buyer, and then I know you have grants for someone who actually owns a home too, which is amazing. You could use that money to move up. So let's go over some of the grants for say first-time buyers or doctors, or I know all kinds of loans you have. So let's go through that.
There's so
Let's go
many
through the grants first.
Yeah, there's so many things. So at the beginning of the year is usually when the grants are announced. We just got word that there's going to be a couple grants coming out in the next couple months. The first one is the Keys to Equity, which is $20,000 for minority first-time home buyers.
Wow.
Or first-generation buyers. So if your parents don't own a house, you can also qualify for the $20,000. This is money that does not have to be paid back. There's no retention for it.
Wow.
Day one, it's
20,000.
forgiven. So this is like such awesome money. It will run out in 8 hours. It's going to open on March 18th, and it's going to be out of money on March 18th. So if you are interested in getting this money, you need to act now to see if you can qualify. So that's the first awesome one.
So if you do get it, do you have to buy a house within a certain time period?
You have 6 months to buy a house
6 months.
after you get approved for the money. And if you are actively looking, but you're unable to find something, we can extend it another 90 days. So that's a 9-month window for you. If you're not ready right now, maybe you want to wait till the kids get out of school, whatever the situation is, we can still reserve the money.
So minority, what does that all range from?
It's pretty much any minority that you can think of. I don't have the list in front of me, but It's also first generation. So, like I said, if your
Okay.
parents are living in another country and they don't own a house in the United States, that also
Wow.
counts for getting that $20,000. Also, about this grant, the income limit is really high. One person starts off at 96,000, and a family of four can make 137,000. So that's a
Wow.
decent income to be
Yeah.
able to get this. Typically, the grants require a much lower income level, but this one is much higher. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. March 18th. Put it on your calendar.
March 18th, but listen, I need to be ready before March 18th, so people need to
Yeah.
apply before the end of February. Yep.
Okay. Good. And let's go with this other grants you have coming
Yep.
up.
So there's another grant opening on April 22nd, and that's called the First Front Door Grant. That is
I
also
love that
for
one.
first-time home buyers. And I used to have a dollar bill that we got printed years ago because years ago this grant used to be $5,000, and I had this it looked like a dollar and it said $5,000, and we would put it on cars in the mall parking lot. And so now
Oh.
they have increased that to $15,000. And it's
15,000?
15,000. It went from 5,000 for like the last 15 years, and now it's 15,000 for
Oh
first
my
time buyers.
gosh.
Yeah, it's so awesome, and doesn't need to be paid back if you live in the house for 5 years. So that's an amazing thing. That'll last a couple weeks before it runs out of money. You
Right.
can't combine, the $20,000 and the $15,000 grant. You could do one or the other.
Okay.
But you can combine the 20,000 and the 15 with other programs that we have as well. So we can stack and build and whatever we need to do to get you the right amount of money for a down payment.
So the 15,000 goes towards closing costs
It can go towards closing costs or down payment.
or the down payment, right?
Yep.
That is amazing. And then you said you can maybe be able to combine it with some other program that you're going to talk about, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
there's also, if you're buying in Philadelphia, there is the Philly First Grant, which is up to $10,000, 6% of the purchase price. That 10,000 can be combined with either the 20 or the 15. So, that's another awesome program. That money does not have to be paid back if you live in the house for 15 years with the Philly First. And that's only for buying in Philadelphia.
Okay. Any income limits there?
The income limits are about 84,000 for one, starting off at one person. Yeah, so the income limits are
Okay.
pretty good for the Philly First Grant.
That's good.
Yeah. And then I also have something that's down payment assistance. It's not actually grant money. It's actually a mortgage program, and
Okay.
it's called K-FIT. This is a
K-FIT.
program with PHFA, which is Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. I am one of the top producers for the last several years for the state. And this program will give first-time home buyers 5% of the purchase price as down payment assistance. You do not have to pay this money back if you live in the house for 10 years. So that goes up to as high as the purchase price of whatever you can qualify for. So if you can qualify for 300,000, you can get 15,000. Qualify for 400,000, you can get 20,000. Up to the maximum sale price, which is 659,000 in Philadelphia. So you could get 32,000 just from that program. So that's awesome. That program is just for first-time home buyers, but
Okay.
let's just say that you already have a house and when you moved into the house you didn't have any kids. Now you have a couple kids, you're bursting out of the house, you need to move, but you don't have the down payment. You can keep your house and buy another house, and I can give you 5% down payment assistance on the K-Flex program. And that's another PHFA program. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer. You still get the same amount of, 5% of whatever the purchase price is that you don't have to pay back if you live in the house for 10 years. And you can keep your property that you have now. Now you have a rental property. So now you're
That
building
is-
generational wealth, right? It's
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that program. And it's up to a purchase price limit
in
or
Philadelphia.
income limit, right?
There's an income limit, but it's a pretty high income limit. In Philadelphia, it's 137,000 for 1 to 2 people, and in the counties, surrounding counties, it's about 114,000 for 2 people.
That's
And
good.
there is a max purchase price in Philadelphia, which is 659,000, And in the
Wow.
counties, the max price is 539,000. So I've had many people use those programs to buy their second house. Now they have a rental property, and
Yeah.
what we like to do with our clients is come up with a plan. Some people want to get into real estate. They want to get their feet wet first, buy a property. So sometimes we might say, hey, buy a duplex first. You can get grant money, assistance money to buy the duplex, and then in a couple years move on to buy the next property, and you're left with a rental property, some incoming rental income, and that's what we try to do for our clients. Both you and I do the same thing. I mean, we're trying to set these people up for generational wealth.
Exactly. And then that's what they want. They come to me and say, I want to buy something. Like Lauren, like our clients for tomorrow who are settling, they're going to buy this house, and he's a doctor. He's going to get a doctor loan, which you got for them. So they're going to take that and they're going to maybe rent that out in 5-6 years. They have kids, and they're going to move to something else. So tell us about this doctor loan that you
Yes,
just
that's
did.
what I was going to say. The doctor loan is awesome because the doctor loan is no money down. No money down if you're a doctor, no money down out of your pocket, and no private mortgage insurance.
Wow. No private mortgage insurance. That's amazing.
No private mortgage insurance. No money down, no private mortgage insurance. And the reason that this loan came about is because doctors, they go through their schooling, their training, and then they become, for 4 years they get paid $40,000 a year just to work in the office and, be an intern or whatever that's called. And then they just can't save for down payment. So then all of a sudden you become a doctor, you go from making $40,000 to $250,000, but you still don't have a down payment. So that's why the doctor loan came about, is to give these guys a break. No money down. So it's a very popular loan. Do it a lot.
Wow, there's a lot of that going on right now too.
Yeah.
Well, all these programs are amazing, but about your credit score? Because sometimes you don't have that perfect score. Maybe something happened when you were younger, and then now you're stuck with this, less than good credit score. What do you need today? What's going on with the market there?
So that's a great question, and I teach a class, at the counseling agencies in Philadelphia a few times a year, and that's always when I ask people, what's the reason that you don't already own a house? What's the reason that you haven't tried to buy a house yet? And a lot of the people there's two things. One is they're afraid they don't have enough money saved, and they're also afraid that their credit is not good enough. So I spend a lot of time counseling people, helping people with their budget, teaching people how to use credit because they don't know how to use credit, and they may be paying their bills on time, and they have a low credit score, and they don't understand why. So it's a lot of teaching. But the answer to your question is you do not need a perfect credit score in order to buy a house. You can get a 5.5% interest rate right now, on January 14th, with a 620 credit score. I mean, that's a phenomenal rate in this market. And that's
5.5?
Great score. Yeah. So 620 works.
What program would that be with?
That would be with the FHA through the PHFA. It's called the Keystone Home Loan, and it's an awesome loan. We can pair that with the $20,000 grant or the $15,000 grant or the $10,000 Philly First grant. So, yeah, I mean, nobody's unhelpable. If there's a way to get the loan done, I'm going to find it. That is for sure. That is for sure.
So I know a lot of clients at the age where my clients or kids are buying houses, and I'm telling all of them, I send a letter out to my clients. Children want to start buying a house. They might not be buying 3 or 4 years from now. They need to start now, so I can put together, my lender, you, can put together what they need to do over those next few years. Talk about that, because I know that's really key in your business.
Yeah, and I've been in the business for 30 years, probably the same as you, and the children are starting to buy a house, and so that's definitely a big conversation that I have with clients who were the parents way back when. And the best time to buy a house is as soon as you're able to buy a house. meaning when your credit's in order, when you have stable income, you have down payment assistance money. Whenever that time comes, that's the best time to buy a house. Because if you wait a year, you wait 2 years, you wait 3 years, the prices of the homes are going to be higher. Homes are appreciating every single year. So as soon as you're ready to buy a house, that's the time to buy. And if you don't know if you're ready and you have an interest in buying a house at any time in the future, you have to start somewhere. If you don't start somewhere, if you don't do something, nothing will happen. You know, if you need help with your credit and you don't know what to do, if you just leave everything the way it is, it's always going to be the same. Nothing's going to change. So you have to kind of get out there, have the conversations, find that trusted advisor, myself, Diane, to help you, put you on a plan to be able to buy, whether it's now, next year, or in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think planning is so important. I had this budget worksheet. I should give you a copy and be like, oh, this is pretty good. So I put it in there and I say, okay, here's all the money that you get on your check every, whatever, 2 weeks or whatever. And then they have all the money that they spend. And I have stuff in like Starbucks, Wawa, dry cleaning, tolls. They're like, oh, and I say, do the budget worksheet, and then Crystal will tell you how much you have to save. So just say that they're just starting out and they have no money saved. And she says, well, you need to save $10,000, $5,000, whatever it is.
Right.
Put that number in there, and then we'll see, well, this is how long it's going to take you to save that $5,000 over this period of time. But if it's over a year, prices of houses could go up, so we factor in inflation in there too. And with everything, inflation with their cost of living and everything.
Exactly.
So the budget worksheet is kind of cool. But then they start doing it, and then they come back to me, call me 3 days later. We know what you don't have on your budget worksheet. You don't have, toiletries. I'm like, okay, let's add that. You don't have supplements.
Right.
Or the gym membership. So over the years, I had this complete list of what everyone said that they spend every month. And then they look at the bottom line like, oh, I should have $3,000 left over at the end of the month, but I don't. Where's my money going to? Like,
Well, that's
why we're.
yeah, it's a wake up call for people.
Yeah.
And, they realize like, hey, I order Uber Eats 3 times a week, and I could make dinner cheaper if I make it myself, and then be able to save some money for, so.
That Uber Eats, I'll tell you, I was away. I did it once, and it was so expensive. I'm like, I should just gone out to the store. I don't know where I was, but oh my God, it's so expensive. Yeah, the really little things like that are just Uber's really gotten expensive.
Well, I see people's bank statements all day long, and you would be surprised how much Uber Eats I see, how much Uber I see, people not driving, taking Ubers everywhere, and hundreds of dollars a month. And I just shake my head sometimes and have to sit down with these people and say, listen, what's important to you? You want to keep paying this guy's rent? Your heat's broken, you got wallpaper falling down, and all these horror stories that I hear about landlords that don't fix the properties. Get your own property.
Right.
You be the boss of the property,
Right. So the spring market's coming up, and a lot of homes are just not coming on the market yet, but they will be. So there'll be a lot more transactions happening 3 or 4 months from now. So with all that said, what is happening with the rates? Like, what are you predicting? What is happening in your world that we don't hear on the news?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the interest rates have not come down. They actually ticked up a little bit. And this is confusing to buyers because they heard that the Fed has reduced the interest rates. And what that actually means is that the Fed reduced the Fed funds rate, which is the rate at which banks borrow money from the Federal Reserve. So the things that may have dropped interest rate wise would be like credit cards, the interest rate on credit cards, home equity loans, car loans, things of that nature. It's not actually mortgage rates. So, they are still up there in the 6s, and as many drops as they thought they might have in 2025, I'm not going to be betting on it.
Okay.
I'm not going to be betting on it. I think it's going to take another year for inflation to get in check. When you notice that the grocery prices are lower, that's when I think we'll start to see that interest rates will come down.
Yeah.
But listen, if you got to buy a house, you got to buy a house, you know, and buying a house is still cheaper than rent. And
Right.
investors that are buying properties are paying an even higher interest rate, like 8%. So if
Wow.
they're paying a higher interest rate, guess who's getting that as a problem to them? You as the tenant. Because if their rate's higher and their payment's higher, they're going to charge you higher rent. So
Right.
owning your own house is still going to be cheaper than renting, even if
Right.
the interest rates don't come down a whole bunch. So don't bank on that, but still call us to buy a house because it's still a great time. Next year, the house prices are going to be higher.
Yeah, the prices of houses are going up, so and you can always refinance
Yeah.
down the road. I know you have that program where you could buy now, wait 6 months, and then you can, if the rates are lower, you can recast your loan. So
You can always refinance after 6 months. Recasting is an option sometimes too. So yeah, there's always ways to go about it for sure.
yeah, cool. So there you have it. All the things going on with the market, the rates, the different programs for your consumers out there, your buyers out there. You got to start now if you want to buy a house. Don't wait, because then you'll be waiting for another year, and then the prices will go up more, and you'll be paying more per month. So thanks for everybody showing up here at the Real Deal for mortgage and for real estate, and come back and see us next time.
Thank you.
And also, Krista's information is below, and if you give her a call, mortgagewithkrista.com. That goes right to her inbox, and she'll be right on it for you.